So yeah, thanks for coming this evening. It's a bit different this evening. We're mainly going to cover Power Apps Nights working offline, but we're doing something a bit different. We've got two guests here with us this evening, Dave Small and Mark Smith. So I'll just go to the agenda and work through what we're going to cover this evening. As always, we'll cover news and announcements. We haven't got much to go through there because we are winding down for Christmas. Do a quick recap of previous sessions. Then Dave Small, that's the guy at the top of the slide deck here. He's going to go to do technical run through of how to work with Canvas apps offline. He'll be looking at how to load data from the cache, check for connectivity, and save data to the local cache as well. And then we've got the NZ365Guy Mark Smith here to come and talk to us about his mentoring, 90-day mentoring challenge. And before he goes on, I'll do a bit of an intro and tell you what the 90-day mentoring challenge meant for me and give a bit of context around that. And then some Q&A afterwards. So we've got quite a lot to go through. If we save our Q&A or put your Q&A into the chat, we'll pick it up and we'll go over that at the end of the session for both technical run through and for Mark's mentoring challenge. That way it just makes it a lot easier when we're editing the recordings, because we'll take the Q&A and the discussions offline so that you can see whatever you want. And yeah, if we are pushed for time, me and Dave will stay late, I'm sure, to answer any questions. So Power Apps Nights, previously, if you've been attending the previous sessions or watching the videos, we started building apps finally after some CDS and security rules. We looked at security rules actually. We looked at solutions, we looked at relationships, forums, and model-driven apps, all kind of common data service related. And then we started building apps. Then we started looking at collections within Canvas apps and saving data. And they're the really important ones that take, because leads on quite nicely to how to handle data offline in Canvas apps. So we'll go over collections again, because again, as I said, they're very, very important for this topic. Collections are a place to store data within your app, and they behave a bit like a data source. And you can fill them up using the collect function, like filling up a bucket, and you can empty the bucket, the collection, by using the clear function. And as I said, that leads quite nicely into the working offline with Canvas apps. So again, it's a bit different today. Instead of me taking you through the technical overview, I haven't actually done offline Canvas apps in a real case scenario. And in true virtual power group style, I asked for help. So David Small stepped up. He's a solutions architect at Redspire who has had some experience with Canvas apps offline in a business use scenario. So I'm going to pass over to him, who'll show you his screen and show you how it's done.
Perfect, thank you, Paddy. Cheers. Get my screen loaded up. Hopefully you can see my screen now. So yeah, probably the first bit of feedback you'll get is, yeah, don't not him again. Get back to Paddy, but happy for that to come in. So yeah, so we just need a case study for the offline mode. So what we're thinking of doing here is, you know, post-COVID, it's straight back to event management. So we'll be on the floor of an event, and we'll have an iPad in hand, and we'll be taking in some inquiries, you know, to get back to people. So, you know, what I've tried to kind of model here is, you know, just a simple, you know, lead generation or inquiry form. And then obviously, if we were in an event hall, obviously, you know, Wi-Fi would be a real problem to get that connection up. So what we want to do is store those inquiry forms down offline, and then at a point of time later, you know, the connection, we'll get back to the hotel and have, you know, that OnePlus better Wi-Fi, and we'll get them put up to the system. So I've just got an inquiry form here that's just standard inquiry form, and it's hooked up to inquiries on the data source. So I'll just show you that kind of model. So a wee model-driven app, just to show you the data, and I've been through it to show you that. So what this has really done is this is hooking up live as the data source here on the right hand side to the inquiries. So if you type in that data and hit submit, that submit button is just going to submit this form and reset the form back to nothing. Again, I've got a little gallery on the left hand side here, just filtering those inquiries just to show us, you know, what inquiries are in the system. And that's, you know, so pretty much you would only have this right hand side bit, but for this, and as Paddy did the last time, we've got a kind of little metrics on the left hand side just to kind of take us through step by step. So I'm just going to change this one to live so that when I press play on it, because I've got the Power Apps installed, so we can actually take it offline, I know I'm on the right page and not on the base one or the Blue Peter style one down the bottom here that I can always go to when the car crash happens. So the first thing that we want to do is show, are we connected or are we not? So how you do that is a simple if statement of connection.connected, and if that's true, we'll say it's connected, and if that's false, that's offline. So we're going to use that you know, syntax around the app quite a lot, you know, to show us what we want to do. And first, what we're going to do in this submit button, if I make that bigger, we will go along side. So what we're going to do is do, you know, that if again. So connection dot connected. Do that, okay, and we can just put that around there, and that's done, okay. So only do that if you're connected. What that then allows it to do is if you aren't connected, it won't submit it. So actually, you know, just now if we press play on this, you would just keep clicking submit when you're not connected, and you're not losing the information. Because if you've ever you know, used Canvas apps when you're disconnected, you would click submit and it would just do the submit form and then the reset form, and then you lose your data. So what we need to do with that data, if we're not going to submit form and put it straight into the CDS, what we're looking to do is, as Paddy was showing us last time, is we're going to collect. So we'll collect into a local inquiries. If I can spell. And then this is where the fun happens, or I'll copy and paste. But what we want to collect in there is a piece of JSON, so JavaScript object notation, you know, within there. So we need to use the schema name of all the fields to do that. So what we can do is go back to here, use something like level up, and then obviously we would see all of these you know, forms types. Again, I don't think we need to maybe see me copy and paste these. So sorry, we don't need to see them type. We type to type them, so we'll copy and paste them. So what we're doing here is, again, just so I'm not showing any magic here. So we're connection.connected. The first comma is what you want to do when it's true. So we're just going to submit the form. And then in here, this is the false part of it. So we're going to collect it into, that should just say local inquiries, copy and paste for the one again. Local inquiries, and then we start our JSON. So this is just the schema name with a colon, and then you just get the text value out of it. So I've got the subject, the first name, the last name, email address, phone number, mobile number, and website. And we're looking to do that. I'm going to try and do this inquiry type as a second, because that is causing me a little bit of hassle, but we'll come together as a team united to overcome what I obviously can't overcome with it, but we'll start off easy with that. So that's all the code we need in that submit button to be down there. And just so you can see, I put the reset button outside of the if. So you either do the submit form or the collect to the local, and then you resubmit just for the next person to submit that that form. So that's great. So what we now have is a collection in the local app. You know, it's just going to get, you know, put into it another record, whenever we do that. So what we need to do now is do a sync button. So we need something that, you know, when we get back to the hotel, we can just click, and then it's going to take everything that's from our local memory and put it up to the CDS. So if I go and insert a button, call this the sync button. So it's a naming convention. So again, on select, if we unselect that connection dot connected, what we're going to do is we're going to collect into inquiries, which is the CDS table. I was going to say entity, but I'll keep up to date with my lingo. And then what we're going to take into there is our local inquiries. Collect that, clear that local inquiries down. And then we don't need to do anything if it's not connected. So you're pretty much, if we're still at the hotel and we're not connected, and you keep clicking that button, it's going to do nothing. So that's what we've done there. So now for the moment of truth. Okay, so I'm just going to change this gallery. Instead of looking to the CDS, I'm just going to do it to the local inquiries. File, save, publish that app, publish, and I'm going to open the Power Apps application. Before I do that, actually, I'm just going to my app just so I know that it's going to just so it navigates to the right form. I'll do this on load. So again, let's load this up. Loading that up. Should say live at the top when we come into here. I've got my fingers crossed. Perfect. So if we put data in here while it's still online and submit, it clears it off. If I go back to here, click go back to here, click refresh. Brilliant. Online doesn't even work. Right, this is a good start, guys. Let's go and see what says it's connected. Submit the inquiry. Capture inquiry to do. Yep. Submit the form. Let's set up 10 inquiries. Yeah. All good. Let's try another one. I can see the NPS scores on the feedback dropping minute by minute here.
You have not made enough sacrifices to the demo gods.
Exactly.
That's a worry to aim for. These things happen.
I'm not even taking it offline though. That's the next bit. Yeah. Fill inquiry type out, but I know that I'm not setting it. And click submit. Okay, it's gone. Let's take a look at the data. So let's go and have a look at what I've done wrong. So first submitting the form, caption inquiry 2. Caption inquiry 2 is looking good. Just a little refresh and see if let's try this one here. Right, so I'm working in there, okay. That's cool. But we need it working in the app so that we can take it offline. The backup is if we can't take it offline, then we'll do a toggle, and I'll just toggle online and offline, and instead of connection not connected, we'll just use a little toggle switch. But I'm not at that point yet, I don't think.
Dave, John says that sometimes publish takes a while to refresh, so opening the app directly doesn't always play the most recently published app.
All right.
I've actually come across that before as well. See if you publish it and then you just open, if you've already had the app open, you publish it and you open the app again, sometimes it's the older version.
All right, okay. I'll maybe put a label on it then and see.
If you open it and then close it down again, it normally fixes it.
Ah, right, okay. Let's do that then. Happy to do anything to get it working, to be fair. This has already been working. Okay, let's have a look. It also could be the quality of data that I'm putting into the front end as well, you know. No, there's something definitely wrong with it. Right, okay, let's.
Maybe to do with the columns that you've got in your collection.
Yeah, that hasn't changed for days. Maybe I'll. Okay.
Just try one. Just field.
Yeah, this is still submitting the. I'll go back here and see if this one works right. So let's go to the app. Go to the base, and we can just modify the base. If this works, then we can modify the base from here.
But it was working in a browser a moment ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just the app that's.
Is it possible you can do, you know, in the developer tools on the browser, just sets it to offline so that you can make it that way? Does it work offline in the browser?
It's very good. I don't know if it does. I just killed it. This is a virtual machine,
Yeah,
so
that could be a follow. That'd be an interesting one to try.
yeah, I'm outside inside for that. So right, what we'll do is we'll modify this one and see if right, where am I now? So this is us now going to go back to the start for a little minute. So now should load base rather than live. Okay, let's go to base. So let's go B. See, that took your advice there, Paddy, and just did one column. Obviously not. Fresh. Something wrong with my app. Why is it? Right, okay. So what we'll do is we'll revert back to the toggle switch approach. Okay, so this is back to the start. Okay, so if we go into that submit button again, I'll just get my pre-canned code. Okay, so if we come in here, make that way. So pretty much everything's not got underscore 1 or 2 over it. So if we go input, get a toggle.
Yeah, what time?
Bring that down to there.
On. Right.
Okay. So in here we'll just do toggle to dot value. So when it's on, it's connected, and off, it's off. And then create our button across here. So again, we'll just do toggle to dot value. If it's there, we're going to take local inquiries into inquiries. This one's called local inquiries as well, please. Okay, so I'm back at where I was. So I've got this submit. So it's going to collect it into local inquiries, reset the form, and then this is going to collect the local inquiries into the inquiries, and then clear the local inquiries done. So, and then what we'll do here is this. We'll look at the local inquiries for there. So let's have a little play with that. So we are connected. So let's take it offline and just go A, and submit. So that's submitted it into here, and then we go online and we say sync. Then that puts us up. So when we go here and click refresh, you've got your 8:26 PM A record. And it's obviously taking us online and offline, within that. So that's the code to do that. So the next thing, so that's kind of offline mode done. Essentially, it's all around the if connection dot connected. Do one thing when you're connected and do another thing when you're not connected. One of the biggest things that obviously from the event to your hotel you're going to do is close the app down. or maybe during the day, you know, you go to lunch, you close the app down. So what we want to do is, because we're now working with collections on the local device, we now want to save them down. So if you did close the app down, or the app had an issue, we've saved the record down to the memory of the device, and then we can load it out of the device memory. So start that by just coming into the app on start and just putting a load data section here. So what do we want to load the data into? Another collection, but we're just saying that it's the same collection as we're already using. Then you give it a string, and this is actually the name of the name on the file of the local storage. So again, we can just call that the same name as the collection, and then if you just give it a true, then it ignores the non-existent file. So pretty much when this is, you know, when there is no file on disk with this name, it's not going to blow up your app and give any error message. But when there is, it's going to load it into the local inquiries. So what we want to do is when we come into the submit button. So when you collect that, come down the bottom of the collect, and then we'll, on the next row down, he says. I think that might be the right place. So we're going to save the data at this point. So we're going to save the local inquiries, and this is where spelling comes into. So we're going to save the data from the local inquiry down into the formatting. So once we've collected it, I'll put the format text back on. So once we collect it, we're going to save the data from local inquiries down into the local inquiries on the disk, and we reset the format again. And then the final thing I'm going to do is when we sync the data, after the clear, we're just going to save the data back down. So pretty much overwriting the local storage with the cleared inquiries, just so we don't obviously introduce any duplicates or anything like that that we have. So once we collect that, put it up to the CDS, we'll clear the local inquiries, and then we'll save that collection down, and the local disk memory won't have any of those records on it. So I'm going to give, obviously, the application that's been the dreaded application all night, I'm going to give it one last chance to redeem itself on this part of the. We should probably have a vote on what we think it's likely to do.
It's a very difficult one to demo, isn't it? Because you're dependent on environment variables. Especially virtually, because you can't just say this is offline. Like. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing, Paddy. I've not even taken this offline, so I'll take it offline there just to show you. So if you disconnect your Ethernet, it does go offline. So it's just to make sure that it does go offline. But yeah, if I can't even get something going into the CDS online, there's not much point in dealing with that. So if I stay offline with this, because it's hooked up to the toggle switch now, and then if we just go CCC, okay, and then if we submit that, okay. So what we want to do now is we want to close the app down, and we want to open the app back up, and we want to see C on the left-hand side. But then again, a blank is probably going to be shown. And that's loaded, you know, so that C has been loaded, and then obviously if we were online, now we're back at the hotel and you click sync, then it will go up to the top.
And so is that audio on start of the app, Dave?
Yeah, that was on. Correct, exactly. That app on start is pretty much what's loading, you know, that data back in. So you know, really you want to save the data down at the point where you're filling the collection. So anytime you're updating the collection, be it a patch or whatever you're doing to it, you always want to save the data. But then, you know, the load the data is just, you know, that once on app start, and that'll bring your data back up. And then yeah, if we see all that data, beautiful. No, something's not working with my CDS connection with these sync and submit buttons. So yeah, hopefully I've shown you offline mode and loading from the disk, connecting to a CDS, so we'll be in the new year. Will we say that, Paddy?
Well, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. We'll do a quick recap. And, no, that's brilliant. Thanks for showing us that. I'll do a quick recap now. Perfect. We do have a few questions, but we'll power through. Let Mark talk about the mentoring challenge, and then we'll round up all the questions at the end. So I will share my screen now. A second. So yeah, so what Dave covered, he covered loading data using the load data function. He did that on the start of his app because that's you loading data from the local cache. He covered collections. Collections again, we've looked at them previously. They're really important, especially when it comes to offline, because you want to. It's a collection of data. It's almost like a data source that's within your Canvas app, and then you can save those collections once they're in the collections in your Canvas app to your local data on your device, whether it be your handset, your tablet, or your machine. And you use the save data to do that. And he also checked the connectivity by using the connection.connected property. So when the connection.connected, when it was offline, it returned false. When it was online, it returned true. And that's what he used for his if statements, so that he could, as it's conditional statements, so that he could check whether he was offline or online, and what functions he carried out, whether he saved to the collection or he saved to the data source. So I'm going to just talk a quick kind of introduction to the 90-day mentoring challenge from myself, just to emphasise why I think it's important and why I invited Mark on to this evening's event. I'm going to talk about a concept that we were discussed on very late on a late night stream one night. Some of the virtual power group admins discussed the concept of community lighthouses, and it kind of resonated with me. Again, it was a late night stream. We'd had a few beers. Myself, Reese, John, and Claire were chatting about community lighthouse and what a community lighthouse is. And I started thinking about it in a bit more depth. And I looked up the definition of lighthouse. It's not something you think about that often. And a definition of a lighthouse is a tower or other structure containing a beacon light to warn or guide ships at sea. And I started thinking about my career and the times in my career where I was completely lost at sea. And I kind of identified two times of crisis, one early on and one more recently. And on both of those occasions, I was lucky enough to encounter what I now recognise as a community lighthouse. And in fact, the second occasion, I was actually extremely lucky because I actually encountered 3 community lighthouses. And each of those community lighthouses gave me a gift. It's going to get a wee bit cheesy. So the first one gave me an awakening, and it wasn't a pleasant awakening, to be fair. I'd like to say it was pleasant, but it was more of a case of Paddy, you got to get your shit together pronto. And so I knew I had to get my shit together, and but I didn't know how to quite do that yet. The second community lighthouse that I encountered within that short period of time at this point in my career gave me the gift of realization. And I realised that I didn't need to be alone on this journey, and it showed me what I had to become a part of. And that what I had to become a part of was community. So I knew what to become a part of, and I just didn't know how to become a part of it. And then I encountered my third community lighthouse at the start of 2019, and that provided me with focus and determination. And that came in the form of Mark Smith's 90-day mentoring challenge. I didn't know Mark, I just seen his photo on the Scottish Summit website, followed him on Twitter, and he heard about this 90-day mentoring challenge thing. So I didn't know anything about it, but I thought I'll sign up for it anyway. And it kind of solidified what the previous two community lighthouses had already shown me. And so I've invited Mark here this evening just to tell the Virtual Power Group members about his 90-day mentoring challenge. And the reason I've done that is because I'm sure that I'm not the only one that's been caught up in a storm or merely drifted into some fog when it comes to career paths and the career path that's ahead of me. And it hasn't been all that clear, the career path. So we've all been like that. And I think, again, this is a great forum for Mark to tell us about this. And hopefully, if anybody's feeling the same way, they can register and sign up for his 90-day mentoring challenge. So I'll pass you over to Mark now, who will share his screen, and he'll tell you all about what he's got going on next year, how he's helped others, and how he can help you, really. So over to you, Mark.
Awesome, thanks, Paddy. I'm going to share my screen on my side. Does that come up okay?
Yeah, we are good.
Awesome. Okay, so the 90-day mentoring challenge is a program I put together a few years ago, and it was really to kind of solidify. It had kind of started out as some blog posts and things like that, and I really wanted to kind of transfer the knowledge that I'd earned over my career and kind of make it easier for people to jumpstart their careers in business applications. You know, I've employed lots of people across my career in the space: developers, functional consultants, project managers, QA testers, the whole gamut, sales folks that are involved in delivering Microsoft business applications over my career. And so I decided to distill all those kind of learnings into the 90-day mentoring challenge. And one of my kind of guiding focuses of it was that it had to be free. So there was no barrier to entry, and it needed to be global. So I saw so many, the mentoring offered by other peers in the community, one of the things I saw as a shortfall is that they're very geo-specific. So if you're in their city, town, or geography, you could participate in the in their mentoring. And you know, when I look at things like this, I'm always looking for how do I scale and how do I enable people, particularly from countries that might not have somebody local that could give them the mentoring in the space. And so that was the goal of the 90-day mentoring challenge. I kicked it off first when I was in London a couple of years ago, and you'll see shortly we're coming up to our 4th year of delivery of it now. So I don't know what your year has been like this year, but you know, this is kind of the impression. You know, we started out with it, you know, work was going to be awesome, working from home. We're seeing things like this now. You know, when will this virus ever go away? There's a whole bunch of people in the community that seem very happy, and of course, yeah, you know, then there's the Homer Simpson. And the thing is that this has been my experience this year. You know, I've found, as somebody that's worked from home now for 3 years, I've found it very difficult even in the COVID world. And so I've had a lot of feedback from people in the community that this is the kind of experience they have been having. You know, a lot of people have lost their jobs, their positions, etc. And, you know, and we're hoping that 2021 is going to get better. But we don't know yet. Nobody really knows. And a lot of people have found this year highly mentally stressful and difficult to work with. And I've absolutely found myself in that camp. So why do I put that up there? Because there is sometimes a need to accept that life can be shit sometimes, and it cannot be, just going the way we had planned. Plans have changed. Life has taken different directions, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with cutting yourself a break and going, this is a season, and everything in life goes through seasons. And if we can get through those seasons, not beat ourselves up too hard on going through those seasons, we can come out the other side. And so I acknowledge that that's kind of been the year for a lot of us. A lot of people have also had some tremendous successes this year, and amazing things happen in their career. But it's been inconsistent. I've even had feedback from people that have been in the 90-day mentoring challenge earlier this year, because I did it across January, February, March in 2020. Had over 100 people go through it with me at the start of the year. And it finished right on around that March, when all of a sudden the world started going crazy. And it's been interesting. Some of the feedback from people this year is, it's been helpful. Then others, I've seen them totally lose their job, totally lose direction, totally lose way, totally lose motivation. So what I'm hoping is that in 2021, as we roll into 2021, that maybe it's possible to start looking at, okay, where do we dig ourselves out of this year? Where do we move forward? And what could that potentially look like? And so, the 90-day mentoring challenge for 2021 hasn't, will kick off next year. I'll do the announcements around January timeframe when that will launch. And it is open to anybody and everybody that really wants to make sense of where their career is now and where they could potentially look at in the future. And the reason I think about it this way is, and I always start with why, and anything I do, why do this program? If you might be going and cruising along your career doing very well. Is this program right for you? And I always come down to this: you don't know what you don't know. And of all the people I've employed in my career and stuff, and they would say, hey, I'm self-taught, I've just worked it out as I've gone along. I'm a self-starter. And I'm like, awesome. The problem is with self-starters and people that have kind of learned on the job all the way is that potentially you don't know what you don't know. You don't know that there might be a better way, a more, a different opportunity for you. I've had so many people come to me in their careers that have been mentored internally within the organizations that they work for, to realize that the mentorship was never around developing their career, or often it wasn't. It was all about getting this individual ready for the way or where the company was going. And so the mentorship was always kind of what was the benefit of the company and why that mentoring was offered. And so I wanted to give kind of this unbiased, unvarnished view of my career, and without any strings attached. Like I've got no investment in anybody that actually comes on the program of what they choose to do or where they decide to go. And so my aim is for people is really going, wherever you find yourself now, what are the career options? What are the paths that you can take? And what are some kind of key foundations that perhaps you want to get in place if you're going to have a long, successful career, maybe 10, 15, 20 years in the space. And so what I've done is come up with a 90-day mentoring challenge. As the title says, it goes across a 90-day period. And I cover these kind of topics. I jump in and look at how communication is probably the most fundamental skill in your business career that you need to master, and what does that really look like. We go into consulting and how to be an effective consultant. You might say, well, I don't work with, I don't work for a partner. I work in, an end customer, and I'm working with the technology, the Power Platform and stuff within those businesses. Well, everybody at some form in what they do, they consult, they help others, they show a better way, they learn a skill and then hand that on. And I really see that as consulting. And so what I do is another one of those sessions, we break that apart. We look at technologies. When I started my career, there were really 3 technologies that I learned, and it didn't change for 3 years. And I mastered them. It was no problem. Now there's 30 different choices available to you. How do you make sense? How do you focus on what's going to have the biggest impact for you and plays to your strengths? We look at engagement, engaging with Microsoft and the community. How do you do it effectively to build and enhance your career? Another thing we look at is career paths. You know, what are the options in anything from, you know, running your own company, becoming an ISV startup, to, you know, becoming a practice lead, or, you know, becoming a consultant, whether, you know, that's focused around various skill sets from project management through to architecture. What is the full gamut of available career paths that you could take? You know, one of the first year I run the program, I had a guy on it from Fender, and, you know, Fender guitars in the US, and he had kind of stumbled in, like so many of us, to doing stuff on the Power Platform. It was a bit of software in his company. It was CRM back then, and you know, he was just maintaining stuff, and he didn't realize that he could take this whole other path and build systems for other people and stuff. And so shortly after finishing this program, he totally pivoted his career and went in a different direction. And I've seen that so many times, that the people that have gone through the program realize that, you know, they're not fulfilled in what they're currently doing, but now they've got options around, you know, what is possible. And I go heavy into personal branding. And, you know, if you want to stand out in a global talent pool these days, you've got a brand. You've got to stand out from all the noise, from all the CVs coming across the employment desk. How do you stand out? I mean, just last month I saw a statistic. There's over 4,000 jobs available now on LinkedIn for the Power Platform. Over 4,000, like, and you imagine all those CVs and the tens and 20s and hundreds of thousands of people now that are in our community. It's actually in the millions now that are in our community. How do you stand out and get the job that you want and get valued for your skills and talent? Well, a lot of it comes down to how do you market yourself, or what are you known for? And I go big into making sure, are you creating value, and are you presenting that value in such a way that people go, you know what, I need that value on my organization or on my project, and get you involved. And so what I'm going to do now is just play a little video, a testimonial of somebody that, well, two people that went through the program.
Mark, your audio isn't.
Yeah, no sound, Mark.
You can't hear it?
No.
Okay, 1 second. Can you just hit that? There you go. I can stop that. So you're saying the audio is not coming through?
No, the audio's not coming through now.
Okay, you know why it is, eh?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Glad I did that switch every time. See, I didn't realize that.
You should be able to set it as default.
I know, you'd think it would be, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you see my screen again?
Yep, got it.
Yep.
Hi everyone, this is Thomas Sanser, the CRM Keeper.
And Molly Magnus, Business Applications MVP. And we both attended Mark Smith's 90-day mentoring challenge this year.
All right, so the mentoring challenge, Molly, what was your key takeaways from the mentoring challenge?
I personally loved getting to know the community better and the people that attended the challenge, see what they did, how I could be better in the business applications community and world, and especially the part with social media presence and how you present things forward. And yours?
Well, yeah, so I mean, I'm very focused on the presentation part of the subjects, and I really like the way that Mark Smith was focusing on how we have power and energy in what we present, so that it makes more meaning to the audience. Because he almost said like something like it's more important how they feel than actually what they hear, and that kind of stuck with me. So yeah, that was kind of important to me.
Yeah.
But anything like, what was like fun about, like, did you have anything fun tidbits about this thing?
Yeah, because we met once a week, and we became a group of friends because we shared our cam and we could see each other and had some cheers together, and it was just a great fun experience. Yeah. And what was yours best?
Well, except for the fact that you always see someone having a cat that suddenly jumps up on the webcam. I just really like the fact that Mark's energy. One thing is that you're just presenting that you should have energy, but when you see Mark doing something as simple as just being on a webcam, you will see his passion, his energy, just all the way through. And it was fun. It was really cool. I learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Mark Smith is a really great presenter.
Yeah, he absolutely
So you should definitely join for the next 90-day mentoring challenge.
Don't miss it. All right, bye.
Okay, so yeah, those two are both from Norway, both MVPs. Just a couple of a little facts I pulled together actually last night. I didn't realize once I jumped into CDS, or actually once I jumped into the Dataverse, as it's got publicly announced an hour or so ago. And I looked back against my data for the last 4 years, and you know, I started this in 2018. 2021 will be my next big release of the program. People have come in and done the course now from 30 different countries. I have on record. I've had over 435 applications. And what I've done is, as of this year, I started running it in 2 time zones. So what I call the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. And this really makes it possible, no matter where someone's located in the world, there should be some type of crossover. So it means, you know, on the days that I deliver, I'm actually, because I do it all live, it's a very early morning session, a very late session for me, just so I can make sure we can get as many people into the program. And I do always do the recording of a session, just like Paddy's done here, and provide that, because sometimes life does get in the way. But here was an interesting stat, and I only found this out. There are now 22 MVPs that have gone through the program since 2018. And I didn't realize so many folks had become MVPs until I cross-referenced those that had signed up against the actual current MVP site. A couple of them actually gone on to work at Microsoft. So yeah, you know, if you feel that you want to take your career to the next level, you know, Paddy's already provided this link. It goes to the same one as the 90-day MC. But if you're keen to kind of take your career to the next level and really look at the options available, I'd happy to sign up. As I say, I haven't kicked off the program for 2021 yet. I'll be announcing that as soon as I've got a baby arriving any day now. And as soon as that baby has arrived and I can start getting my head back into sense of 2021, I'll be releasing for that year. And with that, Paddy, I will hand back to you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mark. Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best yourself. The 90-day mentoring challenge. What I loved about it was the diversity of the people that were on it as well, because you had me who was just kind of wanting the next step. So I was experienced consultant, wanting to take that next step in my career. You had MVPs, already MVPs within the group, and people just started out on the Power Platform. You had developers, and you had consultants and trainers and people who worked at Microsoft who wanted to start businesses of their own as well. I think that was the thing that I loved most about it as well, was the diverse crowd.